Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to an installment that we will be calling It Came From the Workbench, Vol.62 Ep.2. Despite the fact that this is the other, that there are currently 3 TRX-6 based 6x6s in the building. The original, the Jolly Green, and his 2 children. It came from the Workbench Volume 61, Roger, and it came from the Workbench Volume 62, which is kind of hovering on Vermilion as a name, because his name was just supposed to be Red, but Traxxas got us there because the fluorescent red is not red. I feel like Vermilion kind of captures that color. It is. I had said safety cone orange, but I feel like it's kind of tempered out. There's definitely some red to it. There's as much red to it as there is orange to it. So I think I'm on board with Vermilion. That is a red orange. Like the letters on that sign are orange, but our proof view is backed with red, and that sign is red. It's not red, it's not orange. It's red-orange. Vermilion might stick. So as this is number 62, and he has participated only in a ghost ride, and the roads diverged in the wood if you watched the episode about Volume 61. This is his first solo outing in a somewhat near completed fashion, and there has been some minor changes made. Primary amongst which there are Revolt RC dual stage inserts in all 6 tires, and I had them do them up for me real nice in the lowest percentage. His fronts, this is an outer from the front, are 2.8%, which is, and the rears are lower. I want to say they're 2.5. They're either 2.5 or 2.3. So you don't need a lot of support for a 6x, because look how small of an area we have 4 tires in. And then this guy was built as servo on axle with the ultralight, powered by a Rhino. I can barely turn it. 1470 kV, full-time 4S. Ovonic 850 powering that with an RS 800 V2 servo and axle up front, which is, it's too much. It's too much of a lot. When things are on sale, we buy things that we don't need. These are OT6 Racing Verihub wheels. You can see the back of the hub right there. So you can pick between, I think it's 15 total millimeters different of offset. These were designed, and I don't think it would be crazy to say this, these were designed to fit OT6 tires. I skated uphill to get Traxxas Canyon trails on that. Not just Canyon trails, but Canyon trails that have been baked off of wheels with a heat gun and Bob Smith Industries uncured debonder. So the beads aren't quite as malleable. They're a little too thick. It was a fight and a struggle. It was not a direct bolt-up procedure, but as soon as I saw them, it was one of those I've got to have them sort of issues. We've got, you know, if we go from cross to cross, we've got a fair bit, but we can get away with a lot because it's a 6x. Also, threw a little bit of brass at it. These 4 guys right here, I got on brass link mount / panhard up in the front when he was intended to be chassis mounted steering, because this part is kind of required. And then as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, the old Artful Dodgers mounts to the panhard. So brass panhard is, I think, required. Regardless, that mount, no matter how you're building a TRX-6, you want that one to be brass. Of course, the GRC G2 hubs in the front, much better clearance. And we're running plus 10, minus 10, so we're running about 20. It's really the only configuration that we can do here, short of changing out the gearbox. And I am a big fan of that tiny, tiny little gearbox because it seems to be able to handle it. So why would I change it? Wheels and inserts. I'm going to change the weight, I'm almost sure. We get a decent, a mad decent amount of runtime out of the 850. I also, somewhere on the bench, have a 4S1300, but the 4S1300 is really big. I think I would just rather carry a second 850 in my pocket. So, important notes. I mean, the machining and everything on these wheels is absolutely glorious. They were just not meant for heat gun removed. Traxxas Canyon trails. And it's never on grams. It's never on grams. Did we go up or did we go down? 3,515, 3,515 in the grams, also known as 7.75 pounds, 7 3/4 pounds, and I am absolutely happy with that. Like I had said, have said, and will say again, sub 10 pounds was the goal. Jolly Green has an absolute masher of a wooden bed in the back that weighs 1/4 pound. It weighs 4 ounces. So he's like 10 pounds, 0.08. So just under 0.1 pound above 10. I just call him 10 pounds because just like this guy is 7.749, that is 7 3/4 pounds, 3,515, 3,515 grams, 3.5 kilos, however you like it. And his sprung to unsprung ratio is absurd. I would say that Vermilion here is in the neighborhood of 70% unsprung weight. Servos on the axle. He runs an 850 battery, which is tiny. His gearbox weighs an ounce. His motor weighs about 3 ounces. So if you're talking about, let's see what his body weighs. 0.18 pounds. Anvil, man. Anvil all day. The full electronic suite with the battery is probably 6 ounces. 200 grams, maybe. Between 150 and 200 grams. And other than that, what's there that's sprung? Rails, sliders, his little 3D bits, the bumper in the front. It's all on the axle. His front axle is in that, well, with the tires. If we're talking a whole assembly, then we're talking about near 1 kilo. So for something that's 3.5 kilos, 1 kilo of that weight is right here. Now, on a 6x build, try as you may and try as you might, you are never going to get anything that represents the conventional wisdom of good fore to aft split. If you're lucky, you can get 50-50. You can get 50% presenting up here and 50% presenting back here. And honestly, it wouldn't work. If you could somehow add enough weight to get like 60-40, then you got 40% spread around 4 tires. You're going to actually start to harm the traction. I learned this with the original Jolly Green build where when I threw them together, I was like, let's go unsprung crazy and see if we can find the point of diminishing returns. He had portal box weights all the way around. He had brass added, he had brass inserts in the front wheels, and it became too much. It became such to a point that during weight transfer, because that weight is inevitably going to transfer, you could see the tires fighting basically gravity. So we don't have that problem on 7 3/4 pounds here. This guy, all he wants to do is go forward. I think that 3 axles, I think you can get away with more underdrive overdrive split. I think you can do 30% total pretty easily, probably into the 30s. But I don't want to have what is commonly available. Wait, let me see. I don't want to have what is commonly outputted aside from switching to a stealth. And I don't want this guy to be a stealth build because it's too heavy. He would go to like almost 8.25 pounds if we put a stealth X in here. The stealth X would get me 6% here, which means 6% here, 16 here, the 10 there, about 26% total. I think that 26 to 30% total is going to be pretty good. I'm still waiting to hear feedback from people that have tried putting bigger overdrive here in the underdrive or overdrive. Like if you do the 12% optional, you'll have 12 here, run an underdrive back there, so you'd have 22 total there, and then in 10 in front have 32% total. I honestly think that this can get away with it depending on the tire. Now, Canyon Trails don't like a monster split. So on this build, with everything kind of leaned toward Canyon Trails, and I had far too many of them on the rack to justify fitting him with basically any other tire other than Deep Woods, which these inserts will fill Deep Woods as well. Deep Woods are basically the same exact size as a Canyon Trail. Oh, these have 3 different inserts anymore. But we're going to go with the Canyon Trail unless it shows us some massive underperforming aspect, and I have no anticipation that it's going to do that. 4S all day, 20% underdrive overdrive split, 7.75 pounds. OT6 goodness, Revolt inserts. I feel like it's all good, and we're going to head on out there and we're going to see how it does. And I mean, it's a jolly green. Like, how can it not be great? Guys, it's 75, 25, 65 again. I feel like I've given that exact number multiple times. Mind you, 75, it is 8 o'clock in the morning. Would have loved to have been out here at 7, but nevertheless, here we are. Vermilion. Oh, yeah. We have absolutely minimal wheel time. I shot a short, and the short was done on these inserts. These tires and these inserts. So that's the total. We're basically trying to open the GTS shocks up. Now I'm wondering, like, we have much too firm in Roger in 61. This does not feel much too firm. You know, bespoke 3D printed inserts will do that. It's a funny thing with these builds, with these 6xs. Some stuff is not that particular. You can get away with most any tire, but you are going to have, you can potentially have some issue with the rear inserts. Front insert, you can get away with pretty much anything, but particularly on this guy, 7 3/4 pounds, so he weighs right about the same as my Vanquish Phoenix, but there's a whole nother axle. No, it's great. And let's not forget, 1470 kV, 4S all day. Oh, that deflection is real nice. I knew basically from the beginning, I was like, we're doing Canyon Trails. We got to do Canyon Trails. Mostly because I have collected quite a lot of Canyon Trails. Canyon Trails still slept on, you know, which is wild because in terms of tires that come on RTRs, like, nobody's even close, really. Like, there's such versatility. Yeah, they're fat, you know. Oh, yeah. That's what I like to see. Little fence there. Not getting any angry Lexan noises out of an anvil. Yeah, that's just drive. We driving. Oh yeah. It's that extra axle, you know. Just aim it where you want to go. And still though, I'm as surprised as anyone. I genuinely don't feel like servo and axle in the front is like groundbreaking and earth-shattering. Like, it feels pretty much the same. I had the servo in the bin, and we got to put it into something, and it's an RS 800, so it needs 4S. So I got the motor to accommodate, and like, do I notice a big difference in the dropping of over a pound, like pound and a quarter, half a kilo or so in reduced weight? There's a greater portion of unsprung weight. The biggest difference I noticed between 62, this gentleman, and 61, which I drove very recently, was rotating mass. It's just 100% rotating mass. We've got those Dash RC with the silicones in the other guy, and this we've got OT6 with Revolt 3D printed, and like, and I would like to point out, that's an S12 Outrunner in there, so that's a 3523 or 3524. That's a really short motor. I had an S20 and I was like, you know what, 7 3/4 pounds, I think the S12 will be enough, and you know what, it is. Surprising, I say surprisingly stable, because when you see something that has a footprint like that, 445 millimeter wheelbase, when you see something of that size, you don't expect it to drive light. And this drives really light. So while light, yes. 50% more tires, also yes. We're not exerting a lot of PSI. That was his first one. And he just rolled straight down. I must have really upset that, because like, there's not even enough sprung weight to really roll it over. He drives so light. Yeah, GTS are finally starting to wake up. Yeah. Side hilling isn't the best thing that he's at. It's pretty good. I mean, relying a lot on, again, third axle. Descending is this guy's absolute strength, even more than ascending. I don't have enough 6x specific lines. Ooh. Yeah, he doesn't need, I don't think he does. I don't think he needs additional low weight. I think we're pretty much there. He does tend to, he's got a little He's got a little tendency to nose lift a little bit. He throws it in the sky a little bit. We got a lot of fence right there. Yeah, it just, it's so forgiving. You can, much like the other guy with too much rotating mass. He's appreciating that additional weight that's unsprung, because basically that pound and change that 61 has got on top of 62, it's all unsprung. It's rotating, which is suboptimal, but rotating is also very inexpensive. This just, I mean, the feeling of a 1470 on 4S versus Fusion 2300 on 3S, this just, it just goes, like, so snappy. I got shuttled a little bit. I wonder if I can bring it back. He does. All right, so the Canyon Trail is not a tire that really, really loves big overdrive, underdrive splits. So we're at like around 20%. It's the most we can do with this gearbox. I'd have to change out to another gearbox, and this guy is kind of what he is. This is the beauty of building more than one of these, is just trying different things. Like, I think honestly, I probably prefer the Stealth X overall. The ability to change the amount of underdrive that you have in the gearbox is everything, really. Because you could have massive, you can get up to 25% inside of Stealth X. So you get a 45% differential split between the three axles. Do I think that's too much? Absolutely. 20 is the acceptable minimum, really. I think one of the biggest differences in performance between 61 and 62 is the AMK gears. Not just for turning circle, but in terms of all performance overall. It's just, it's so consistent. It does drive really light. Like, I would want to put a little bit of weight in the front. Maybe. So that would be, ooh, diff cover? Like, I don't want to go to full blast Benedict Harry Amazon brass portal covers in the front, because I think that's going to be too much. I want to add about 100 grams, 75 grams, somewhere in there. Bumper. Let's see how far over this side we can get. Is that going to stand her up? The low control, I mean, the Secure 120 is maybe perfect for this. Yeah, I want just, like, because we've got so much traction, right? Those inserts cut canyon trails that aren't even feathered yet. Once they're feathered, we're really going to be working with something. Yeah, that's super low. Nothing is fighting against anything else. Oh, that, like, it's so responsive. You really notice if driven in close proximity to one another, you really notice a small, light outrunner versus even a Fusion, because just the way it spools up, so snappy. So I don't think we're done. I think we pretty rapidly got into 5% territory. Like, he feels pretty okay. And, you know, we cheated our way there a little bit because I basically copied the upper and lower link positions for the intermediate and the rear axle. So I didn't want additional holes back there to move link positions around, because to be completely honest about it, when you have two axles that close together, I'm not sure that altering that geometry really matters. At least in my experience, limited as it may be, setting up a 6x6 is kind of the mirror image of setting up four-wheel steer. Four-wheel steer is so picky. It's so picky about how the rear end is set up. Caster change just makes everything go out the window. In this case, we've got two axles very close together. We have all the available forward drive, like all of it. And if you're fitting an anvil, you got no overhangs. Angry Lexan noises are basically impossible. We still get to that spot right in the middle. I get right there. And okay, I'm watching that driver front kind of basketball. So we might need just a little bit more weight on that front axle, because the front is probably, as it currently sits, 50, 60 grams in terms of brass heavier than the others. Then we have the weight of the servo, but I don't think it's heavy enough. I think we can add a little bit of weight to move a little bit of weight forward, because I've kind of left myself in the position of not being able to take weight out elsewhere. We're already stripped down. He gets right there. I got to find what is his desired line? It kind of shuttles us. There we go. Yeah, he's feels almost overstable, yet at the same time skittery light. And I would like to, I'm kind of fine with the stability. I would like to take some of that skittery light feel away, though. Now, with the inserts, I do have other outers, but I would prefer not to. I think we can get away with a little bit of weight because we're so light. I'm not getting quite the amount of squish out of the insert that I think I would like. So basically, for me, it's gonna be this right here. Right? See, we get a little stucky, hoppy. I'm gonna mess with that until we can just breeze it. That's the goal. Like everything we did at Tumbledore, just predictable, stable. The stability, I kid you not. Like, Vermilion here, our man Vermilion, is the perfect expression of, is dichotomy the word I'm looking for? Like, he drives really light, but at the same time, just throw it sideways, it, like, ordinarily, swinging a little, like, okay, ordinarily, if you come across this top right here at full lock like this, it's not going to end well. Like, we never so much as lifted a tire. It's just planted down all the time. So we've got that little bit to chase. I want to add, I mean, there is the abhorrent notion of, I have a bunch of those big Benedict Harry portal weights, and also the slip-on kind that just attach with 2 screws. While it would pain me to do so, there's nothing saying I can't just cut some of them. Get to about the amount of weight that I want. Start by just bolting them up. And if it seems like too much, just cut, just cut a little bit off. Just cut a little bit off. Because I did find on the OG, on Jolly Green himself, I found that I hit the point of diminishing returns in terms of, I guess, what would have to be just total weight. Like, he wasn't going in big on rotating mass, but I tried him with knuckle weights at on all 6 portal boxes, and it slowed him down. Like, he would get to here, and right, that front pulls through, and then we would get to right there. Oh. So maybe, I don't know. Wheel time over all other things, as per usual. He's got a little bit of skatiness that I think we can get rid of by throwing just a tiny bit of weight at it. I would love to stay under 8 pounds, but I learned long ago, don't get hung up on the number on the scale, whether it be for you as a person or for the thing that you're building. If you're like, oh, I can't go over 5.5 pounds, who says? Like, he's at 7.75, so the irrational part of my brain is like, try not to go over 8. What difference does it make? Genuinely, what difference does it make? Tune it to the way you want to drive it. There's no hard and fast rule set. I think he can use a little bit more weight up front. And I helped myself with a little bit of wallet emptying. I lightened the wallet a little bit buying the 6 wheels because they're '06, so they are what they are. We can't throw brass rings. We can't do any of that stuff. The wheels, inserts, and tires are basically fixed elements now. So I got to deal with unsprung. I got to deal with axle bits. And you know what? I'm 100% fine with that because the Traxxas parts availability is extraordinarily high compared to others. So we can throw brass at that front axle. And I don't think it needs to be a lot. I'm thinking 100 grams. So we'll probably start somewhere around there. And we'll follow the evolution. Yeah, just a little bit of a burst. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it drives great, but the crawler's paradox is always lurking there in the background. What could we? And I'm looking at the shock positions in the rear. Could be shock positions. We could not. We might not be getting enough up travel from the intermediate. So there are some things that we can try for free, and modifications that can be done for free are the best ones. So he'll get some more wheel time on camera and off, and we'll get to a closer understanding of how this one, which I would, at least for me, certainly classify as a lightweight, how this lightweight does compared to the other Jolly Green builds. Did a bolt fall out of a rear wheel? I think it did. Yeah. We're definitely missing one of the points of the star on the rearmost axle. Hopefully it's something common. Hopefully it's something common. Thank you so much for joining us here, everybody. We look forward to seeing you next time. In between now and when we meet again, please one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the canyon real soon. This is pretty good.